6:30 and here.
Good evening, everyone. It's always so good to be together and to do the good work that we do. But first, Robin, before we can really get going, we need a roll call.
Madam Chair, I'm happy to do that. Commissioner Hensick. I think I moved you. Chair Stevens.
Present.
Commissioner Slaughter. Commissioner Hammond.
Present.
Secretary Roughton.
Present.
Vice Chair Bacher.
Present.
Commissioner Rubis.
Present.
Alternate Quarternick.
Present.
Commission Liaison Broyles. Not here. Council Liaison Nyon.
Here.
Council Member Liaison Rambo.
Here.
And our Student Route 66 Task Force Liaison Nolan Myers.
Here.
All right, we most definitely have a quorum.
Thank you. I'm going to change the order here just a little bit and go into comments before we get into the pledge this evening. As we gather here tonight, a special weekend lies ahead, that of Memorial Day. 3 years after the end of the Civil War, the Grand Army of the Republic, the largest organization of Union veterans, established Decoration Day. It was a day for the nation to decorate the graves of those who lost their lives during the Civil War. According to the United States Library of Congress website, Southern women decorated the graves of soldiers even before the Civil War's end. Records show that by 1865, Mississippi, Virginia, and South Carolina all had precedents for Memorial Day. On May the 5th, 1868, General John A. Logan issued a proclamation calling for Decoration Day to be observed annually and nationwide. He was commander-in-chief of the Grand Army of the Republic. With his proclamation, Logan adopted the Memorial Day practice that had begun in the southern states 3 years earlier. Decoration Day has changed over the years, where we now honor all deceased veterans and family members with decorations on their grave sites. Some are very simple displays and other more elaborate. In fact, it was in 1967 that the name was officially changed to Memorial Day. Memorial Day can bring to mind different people and events for all of us. I think for most, it is a very patriotic time, with many flags flying at homes and around town as well. Here in Wildwood, the new Heroes banners are flying as we approach Memorial Day. Let us think about that flag as we now stand to repeat the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm asking one of our veterans, Jim Rubis, to lead us this evening.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Do you know that May is Preservation Month? I saw a posting online that Preservation Month would soon be ending. I said to myself, what are they talking about? One can't be serious about preserving if it's done only 1 month of the year. I'm so proud of our commission for working on it every month of the year. We're serious about it. Thank you, everyone. The approval of the minutes of the April 27th meeting. Did anyone see any problems with anything on that? Hearing none, they'll be approved by general acclamation. Do we have public comment tonight?
Madam Chair, we do have public comment tonight. Mr. Steve Scott, would you like to come to the podium?
Thank you. First, I want to thank the commission and especially the staff for the lovely condolence card you sent. It was greatly appreciated, and it's with friends like you that keep a person going. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. But then I want to acknowledge and thank Nolan for his participation in the commission, his active participation. I mean, what he has given to us has been really great. And I hope this is just the beginning of your career as an activist. When you're 18 and a registered voter, you will be eligible to be on the city council and any one of the commissions or committee. And apply, seek nomination. I want to see people like you active in this community. And if not this community, wherever you happen to be living. So, and then also the same thing goes to the Route 66 student task force. Their activity has been very impressive, and I just want to thank them too. And I think they need to be acknowledged as well. It's people like you that will keep this country a democracy. So keep there, get your voice out, keep talking, keep active. And I hope to see you for a long time around here. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Steve. Okay, no other public comment at this time?
I do have one attendee online and I have promoted him. It is our city administrator, Mr. Tom Lee. Mr. Lee, if at this time you would like to speak to the commission, please use the raise hand feature or come into the meeting. I hope. I'll give it one more try. All right, seeing no raised hand, I think we are free to proceed. There is no raised hand.
Okay, thank you. Well, moving on then to old business, ready for action. Number one, the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution Historic Preservation Recognition Award Certificates. That's a mouthful. So I'm going to change places. Well, here I am down here now. It's kind of nice to look up and see y'all. I'm here in a different position and wearing a different name tag. It doesn't say Historic Preservation Commission. I'm now representing my DAR chapter, the O'Fallon chapter of St. Louis. I'm not wearing my official pins, DAR ribbon this evening. It's much too heavy for what I have on, but I did wear it for the award ceremony when we were first honored, and also at the Route 66 Student Task Force celebration. I think you're all aware that Dan and Alan and Robin and I did attend the award ceremony on April the 15th, and we very happily accepted the award presented. But we're not the only ones who get an award, because there just wasn't room for all of us in the room for the awards ceremony. So they're asking me to stand in. Our regent is out of town on vacation this week. So being a past regent and honorary chapter regent, I often have to step in for things. So as I call your name, as they say on TV, come on down. First of all, I'm going to ask Alan and Dan come down. They already have their certificates, and if they would bring their things with them. And we're going to start here right in front of the dais, right? I don't want to mess that up.
To bring these with us.
Right over here in front of Kurt. Put your ribbons on. You've already officially have them. Jim, let's have you be the next recipient. Chris, how about you being next? Thank you. Kurt, come on down. What do we think? Ashley. Group. And with you're going to be giving all the time and effort that all the rest of us have been doing. And so you also. That's the core of the commission. But Debbie, I've been in your spot. Being an alternate, you can talk, but you can't vote. But you know what? You've got wonderful ideas and you're right in there with the rest of us. And I'll bet other people don't realize that you are kind of a. So guess what? Come on down. You're welcome. Elizabeth isn't here. She's missing out. Couple up there. Are you feeling kind of left out? Better come on down. Oh, no, is it kind of like being left home alone? You get that feeling? Come on down here. You already have a certificate. And but we're going to ask you for our picture to hold the certificate that given task force for the commission. Have to get back up. Remember, you still got yours. Stand right there by Rob. I'll have some more here. Robin, would you accept the certificate for the commission? As well as one. Mr. Joe, I know you don't like the spotlight. What? There's a person who's already been up here this evening who we put a lot of love and affection into because he's great. He's led us down a good pathway. Steve, come on up. There's just a little bit of difference between the certificates. They look the same, but the wording is a little different. The ones that the commission received state is presented to them for their excellent volunteer work in historic preservation. We are volunteers. That's what we're all about. The ones that Joe and Robin received, and Rob and Tracy, a little bit different. It states, now let me get the wording right. For excellence in historic preservation, because staff and council people get a little bit of money. So there's work isn't all volunteer, but there's a lot of volunteer time in there as well. But the certificates are the same. They are all national awards. And in my 30 some years in DAR, this is the first time we, as a chapter, have been privileged to do a national award. So I had nothing to do with the award being presented except giving it to you this evening. I was surprised when I got a phone call. I missed a meeting. You know, they say never miss a meeting because you can put into something. And they said they had found out some of the things that we had done, and could I give them some more information because they wanted to apply for this award. So Robin and I both sent in information, and we were very, very pleased when it came back. And you've all gotten copies of the letter from National. That was just glowing. I just never have seen a letter back from National like that. And the, whoops, backwards, Jen. The National, the volunteer commissioners all have a medal which states NSDAR Historic Preservation Recognition Award. Oh, we have somebody who's going to take a picture. Thank you, sir. Before we go on to item number 2, the student task force update, I have an announcement to make. Very well. But before my good announcement, the hearing problem that I experienced a little over a year ago has returned. So I'm asking tonight, as a teacher, please use your outside voices so that I can hear what you're saying. So thank you. But my wonderful announcement is that Director Vunich, Planner Robin, and I have been talking about this student task force liaison position. And we're happy to say that no one has been invited to continue this position, at least through the summer. The reason for this is that the student task force has been asked to take part in Celebrate Wildwood, and especially in the parade, and I'm sure they'll be around the tent helping in any way they can. Therefore, we need his expertise in coordinating things between the students and the commission. So Nolan, we're so happy that you've agreed to stay on for a while. We really appreciate it. And I want to say thank you for all that you do for our commission, just like Mr. Scott had said. But also, please keep us updated this summer on the National History and Geography competition that you're going to be taking part in.
Thank you.
So, we're proud of you. We're very, very proud of you. So keep up the good work. So who has the update tonight? Mr. Nolan.
So it was, I believe it was a couple weeks ago for the Wildwood scavenger hunt we had for the Route 66 task force. A couple weeks ago, we did the judging for it. So we would tally up all the points for each person and we figured out who would be winning. And the same guy who won the raffle at the car show ended up winning the scavenger hunt too. So, and today I wasn't there because I had a meeting with my football coach earlier today, but we got to film a video announcing the winners of that. And so they'll all be getting like the awards and prizes that they won. I think that's it that we've done recently.
And Madam Chair, if I may, you can watch that video because it went live on Facebook. So he was quite the ham. He brought the Get Your Kicks on Route 66 soundtrack as part of the prize announcement. And it was a very, very fun event at Victoria. Afterwards, his wife came in second place. And so we went over to Benedetto's and took a big group picture there as well with the entire staff. They all came out and posed under the sign with her. So it was a very fun, uplifting experience. And they just went on and on about how much they love the hunt. They got every single question right. Wow. So, and then, of course, this commission probably knows, because I know several of you were in attendance, but the Student Route 66 Task Force did get recognized this past month on, May 8th by City Council and the Mayor. They received a proclamation, and they also received a national award from the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution. So Nolan does have his own individual certificate that was awarded at that time. And we are just so proud of these students. Thank you.
All right, very good. Number 3, updates regarding changes to the HPC composition. Who's addressing that tonight?
Okay, I will take this item on. Madam Chair, members of the commission, as you're aware, at our last meeting, we had a pretty extensive conversation about the addition of youth members to this commission. Right now, we are exploring that issue with our city attorney. We had a meeting with him. We've done a lot of research exploring nationally what other commissions have done. In fact, we've actually found historic preservation commissions that have had youth members, and we've been looking into exactly how they were structured. So we're doing the research and we're putting a plan together. However, we're not quite there yet. So that is my update for you this evening. We will have something hopefully by next meeting.
Okay, thank you. History book update.
All right, well, you may have noticed I stayed up here. We're making progress on that front too. In fact, I did include an updated project schedule within your packet this evening. And I highlighted the steps that we are currently focused on with the history book, which includes the book launch planning and the finalization of the manuscript, so we can start sending it out for testimonials. So far, we are right on track, and we are still very much expecting to release the book at Celebrate Wildwood. Our book launch planning committee did meet this past Monday. Actually, it was this Monday. So just a few days ago. And that committee had quite a few ideas for Celebrate Wildwood, and then the PR and marketing leading up to the launch. So right now, our idea is that at Celebrate Wildwood, what this is going to look like is the Historic Preservation Commission is going to have its main tent. And this year, the Wildwood Historical Society is going to be placed right next door, with the book tent by itself located in between us, so that it's a clear partnership between the Wildwood Historical Society and the city. We're going to have designated banners. We're not quite sure how we're going to set it up yet, but the Wildwood Historical Society will receive one, the commission will receive one. We might have a dedicated banner to the book, but we're not quite sure yet. We're hoping to do a book announcement during opening ceremonies. Commissioner Rubis volunteered to lead a subcommittee to create a parade float in honor of the book. And he's very interested tonight if there are any other commissioners also interested in that endeavor, and if you'd be willing to volunteer for it, because Joe and I are not raising our hands. Any interest?
You raised your hand, didn't you, Dan?
Oh, he is raising. Oh, wow. You got some volunteers, Mr. Rubis. Nolan, what about the task force? Think you can rein anyone in?
I'll ask.
Thank you. All right. Well, we'll keep discussing it as we move forward then. The tagline, so far that's been proposed, but we're still fine tuning it. We're hiring a media consultant actually to help us put together some of the PR and drum up the enthusiasm for the book. But so far we've got it. It's all about the book tagline. So we'll see where that goes. So our thought is that for the Celebrate Wildwood book, it would be a special edition book signed by its author and discounted to residents. So if you pre-order it or if you pick it up at Celebrate Wildwood, it'll be a special book where compared to later editions. So we're hoping to really have a really nice, front end launch to the book. Invitations will be sent out to individuals and entities that will be receiving donated copies from the city. So if this commission has any ideas of entities or individuals or families that should receive a special invitation and get their own copy of the book, please do send us your suggestions. We will be putting together a list. I think those are the highlights from our committee meeting. So at this time, I would just ask this commission, if you've had a chance to review the notes so far, if you have some ideas and if you like where we're going, so that we have some feedback to launch from as we move forward to our next committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. It's all very exciting. We've been working on this for so long that it's so neat to see it coming all together, and we can say final. Anything else on the book launch from anyone? Okay, the Madison Valley Memorial Plaque.
Okay, so I will be presenting on that item as well. And we are making substantial progress on that front. We did meet with the Babbler representatives at the beginning of this month, and it was a very productive meeting. We met with the superintendent, we met with a woman from the regional office, and also from the state office, who is the cultural resources manager. I'm not sure exactly her title, but it is in your memorandum. But they were very enthusiastic about the idea of potentially having the marker placed in Babbler. They were concerned about any Babbler Park locations that might be located along Wild Horse Creek Road because they're concerned about safety along that road, both for the marker and for those who might stop to see it. But they were very enthusiastic about the placement of the marker within the park off of Worth Drive in a pull-off that's already there. It's a very nice location. I included a packet, or I included a picture in your packet. In fact, I think I took several photos I can show you in a minute. But part of the reason they were excited to embrace it is because it actually aligns with some of their goals to also tell some of these untold stories and histories. And so potentially we could actually build or increase education and awareness of the marker, because they would also be interpreting the history at the Babbler Park Visitor Center and doing lecture series on it, et cetera. So they were also very interested potentially hosting meetings if we go further along. So right now, the verbiage for the marker is going through their review process to see it's being reviewed by their cultural resources office and also their graphics department. We've extended an offer to potentially include their logo on the signage if it moves forward and if this commission is interested in pursuing that course of action. And they might also be interested in potentially tweaking the verbiage just a little to tie it to park history if we decide to go with that location. I think I covered the major highlights. Oh, no, I didn't. So the other bonus of that location is apparently they are having conversations about a potential future greenway that would cut through Babbler State Park right at that location. So the marker would actually be a site along that greenway if it manifests. So nothing, it's still many years from now, but it is something to think about. That, it could actually be, a very nice featured stop along that trail. So there are a lot of positives associated with that location, and that is where we landed. So I suppose at this time, we would ask the commission to discuss it and give us your feedback about what we learned. Thank you.
Jim?
Robin, where is the access for Worth Drive? Off of what road?
Yeah,
It's the outer loop inside the park. So you go through the main entrance, take a right at the statue at the top of the hill, and then down, you go down 2 hills, go up a hill, and down at the bottom it goes to the right, goes on the outer loop.
It's not a public street, it's a street within the park.
Within the
that is correct. Yes.
Rob?
Yeah, I didn't want to speak first. The only downside that I see in the location that you chose is the potential lack of traffic. Just, I think Jim might have been leading up to that. I don't know that there's I'm not sure that it achieves what we're hoping to achieve in a location that's in a back corner of the park as opposed to on a public thoroughfare. I don't have a strong opinion on that, but I think it's something we probably should consider. But the other thing that I had was, I think this is more significant. We wordsmith the verbiage. It looks really nice. The plaque as shown in the images looks great. But I was thinking about it. And I would like to suggest we consider rewording the title a bit, because USCT, my mind doesn't know where to go when I see that. And so if we did honoring service in the US colored troops, 2 lines there, we have to have space for 4 more characters on the top line, and then 1 fewer is required on the bottom line. So we could fit it in quite easily. And I think honoring service in the US colored troops makes the point that we're trying to make more graphically than just having USCT, because I don't know how many people recognize USCT, and we want them to stop and want them to understand about the the history. So that's just my suggestion. I don't know if anybody else feels strongly about that, but those were my two comments.
Not to put more tasks on your plate, but I agree. But I think the only thing to make sure of, and I'm not even sure where we would track this information down, is just to make sure that we're allowed to abbreviate to US colored troops, because I know oftentimes, military does require you to use very specific verbiage, and they like things the way they like them. So I want to make sure that we're respecting that branch. But I agree. I think adding something that provides more context is a good idea.
And my thought, just to be clear, was it is spelled out specifically in the verbiage in the text, of the sign, and also USCT is there. So people will have that, that minor learning experience. But I thought of that, but you see US a lot. So.
Yeah, I mean, it totally could be. I just want to make sure that I would just hate to be accidentally disrespectful, sin of commission.
From my perspective, I think the location in the park is perfect. I think you do get a lot of traffic through the park, not everyday traffic like you do on Wild Horse Creek, but you get visitors, you get people walking, you get people hiking, getting people riding bikes for sure. That's how I know where everything's at in the park. So I think it's a great location. And if ultimately a greenway does come to fruition, which I'm all for, I think getting from the valley up to our greenways would be amazing, and Babbler's the way to go. So I think that'd be perfect. Obviously, it's way in the future. My assumption would be that if the sign was stuck in the ground and needed to be moved 10 feet, 20 feet, whatever, if a greenway actually came through, would that be an issue?
No. We discussed that.
Okay.
The same we put in Ballard Park. What the original.
That's right, Kurt. I can't hear you.
I'm not used to it. I just feel if we put it in Baylor Park, we're somewhat detached from what the original concept of the sign was. It's not, it all started with Old Slave Road, and then we're getting pretty far away from that. Put it in the park.
If I may, Madam Chair, again, I've been an advocate of looking at other locations off the public right of way. We have the kelp sign on Wild Horse Creek Road. We ended up tucking it behind one of our bridge structures, and there's really no place to park. I'm afraid even despite the 15-foot wide strip that's part of the bridge project, we're going to struggle with just a safety concern. And it only takes once, obviously, to really create an issue. I also, from Robin and I's meeting with Department of Natural Resource Park staff, the Colemans and Tylers used to own portions of Babbler State Park. So there is actually a link there. And obviously, Mr. Madison was a slave of one of those two families. So I think there's actually a nice connection. And as Robin mentioned, park staff are very adamant about their efforts to kind of bring out the park's history, not most recent times, but those going back to that period as well. So I would advocate for it primarily just on a safety consideration. And I think you'll be surprised how many people actually are in the park. We held our plein air event there on May 6th, and it was crowded in the park. The visitor center was active all day long. A lot of people coming and going. And I think if we do it right and with the participation of the park staff at Babbler State Park, I think we'll have a winner there. Thank you.
Just in closing, the area is literally a couple blocks from Wild Horse Creek in the area we're talking about. So it's not far away at all.
Right.
It's very representative of the area that the sign represents. Thank you.
I think people would be hesitant on a major thoroughfare to stop and get out and look at it. I think if it's in the park, you may not get as many hits, but I think you get more interested hits. Do we need a motion to proceed?
Commissioner Rubis and members, given that the department is currently organizing with you, and in fact, that would be my next topic of conversation, a site visit to these marker locations. I think that given that there's interest in both, and Director Vunich can correct me if I'm wrong, then maybe we can just plan to visit both locations on those site visits and then make a determination after we've had a chance to see them.
Could you please define greenway? I don't know if it's a road or a path or just what the heck it is that,
It would be, I assume it would be a multi-use trail with bicycles and pedestrians and paved or like along the Merrimack River, like what we have with the Al Foster Trail.
Yeah, and if you look, can I add to that too? So
Yes.
is it Great Rivers Greenway?
Yeah, yeah.
Great Rivers Greenway has a plan, proposed plan for all the St. Louis and St. Charles County. And just from looking at it years ago, their vision is to connect the Monarch Levee Trail somehow to our Greenway Trail just outside City Hall here, right? That goes past my subdivision up 109. They don't have the rights, they don't have all the land, et cetera, but the vision is to be able to connect all that. So ultimately, I think in the future, it would be awesome to see that you could go from Monarch Levee Trail all the way to Al Foster on Greenway space. So it's a bike and walking path kind of vision.
that'd be spectacular. I don't see the real estate for it along Wild Horse. What the topology in that area, I think is pretty
I think
steep.
it would probably be my assumption, again, having looked at it in quite a while, come up Centaur and then cut into the park there. It was my guess.
Sure.
So, I mean, as a cyclist, you ride up Centaur, and if you want to get into
Yeah.
Babbler, you take a left on Wild Horse, and then you go through you hop the gate that keeps the cars out, and you could ride down there. I don't know that would be where it would come up, but that's obviously not where this location would be on the map. It's further west, I guess, or maybe southwest, wherever of what's on the map.
Great.
So,
Thank you.
Just one quick note. I obviously have not been a part of putting in a new marker, so I don't necessarily know what the rollout plan is. But especially if we decide that Babbler Park is the best location, I think that there should be some sort of strategic plan about connecting that to the renaming of the road, just because there's been a lot of public interest. It's come up at several council meetings, at Coffee with the Mayor. So I would just hate for the general public to lose the thread and not see that there was like some really intentional and careful action. So just however it would look to see that roll out, I think I'd love to hear about that at a future meeting, if that's.
And it would be, we would plan an unveiling ceremony and reach out to the surrounding area and discuss that backstory and history.
thank you for including the schedule or the project schedule, because I think that's super helpful. Also keeping in mind that City Council, I believe, has directed city staff to do this by the end of the year. So we're at the end of May. So we're trying to see it through, right?
Yep, that is correct. That's the direction. But so far we are on schedule and we're doing okay with where we are. And I certainly appreciate your feedback tonight. I'll definitely take it back. We'll tweak that verbiage a little bit to reflect it. And I agree, it would be as a headline, you want people to understand what they're coming towards. And that's an absolute astute observation. But yes, I will be scheduling. Well, actually, I want to schedule it tonight. So right now, I would say the date where I have the most names is Monday, June 19th. Does that, can I see a show of hands for that, who that works for on this commission? 2 p.m. in the afternoon on Monday, June 19th.
What time?
2 p.m. No. Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and make that save the date because that's who I've heard back from. It looks like we have a quorum. I saw a good number of hands additional. So let's shoot for Monday, June 19th at 2 p.m. Please write it down and see if you can make it. Thank you.
And where will we meet?
I will coordinate when I come back from vacation,
Okay.
which is next week. So you'll hear from me that Monday following and I'll get busy.
Sounds great.
All right, thanks.
Anything else on Madison Valley? Okay, moving on to Westland Acres. I think, Joe, that's your thing.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Madam Chair and members of the commission, the department provided you a memorandum regarding this particular item on tonight's agenda. The department was able to talk with Pastor Harvey Fields, who had a long time been the pastor of Union Baptist Church. I explained the project to Pastor Fields. He was very enthusiastic about the interest of the city in Westland Acres and Union Baptist Church. As the discussion proceeded forward, Pastor Fields identified at least 3, if not 4 individuals that he believed would be integral to creating a project that would be successful and well received in the Westland Acres community. Along with that, Pastor Fields noted that if he could have some talking points when he meets with that group of potential participants, he thought that would be beneficial. And so those talking points are being formulated. For the most part, I think the department is going to provide Pastor Fields the goals that we set forth and were adopted by the commission for this particular project. I think those will give a good explanation of what we're hoping to achieve. I think Robin has said it best. We have some resources that are available that might not be available to a group of property owners or church members that we can certainly leverage to do what I believe would be a community service and creating another chapter of the history of Westland Acres. Again, as you know, the department has been in conversations with potential developers, individuals, not necessarily large home builders. And so the urgency obviously is there. And by our next meeting in June, I hope to have information from Pastor Fields regarding his meeting with those individuals, and then the next steps for our subcommittee that has been formed by the chair. Are there any questions regarding the content of the memorandum or anything that the department has identified in its presentation? I'll be glad to try to address them at this time. Thank you.
Essen Log Cabin update.
I'm back.
You're back. We're glad.
All right, Madam Chair, members of the commission, I had a clan of Essens come to visit me this past, I can't remember the specific day, but anyway, they came to City Hall and we went out to the site where we've for the future Essen Log Cabin, and they had nothing but very positive things to say about that location, and they're very excited for it. They went home with some aerials of the village green master plan, so they understand how it relates to the overall plans for the site. They have continued to be very useful in terms of putting together family histories for me. And I think they're very interested in helping us to interpret and even potentially provide some tools and some other items for the cabin as well. Some of which may have potentially actually come from the Essen Log Cabin, and some of which would be at least period correct. So I think they're going to continue to be a useful partner in this effort with the commission. But the other thing, the other item of interest this evening is that we have, as I noted at our last meeting, received an offer of donation of logs from a gentleman out in Cuba, Missouri. And he has since provided additional information about where those logs came from. So this was a cabin that was located in the City of Manchester Historical District. It was originally the Charlotte Power House cabin. It actually had a frame house, I think, over the cabin when they took it down. And so it is somewhat, not entirely put together, similar to our Essen Log Cabin. But somehow he obtained custody of it, and it looks like it came down around 1994. And could potentially add to our story of the Essen log cabin by putting these two sad historical these I don't want to say sad, but they're missing pieces, but hopefully together they can form a whole and create an interesting story as we move forward in this reconstruction effort. So we've shared everything that we've received about the cabin with our consultants, and they're excited as well. So we'll keep you posted as we investigate the viability of using some of those materials. And if you have any questions, we can answer them at this time.
Anyone with questions on this?
Naturally. Sorry. I love that we're getting more logs because we were going to come up short. And since this is not a historic reconstruction of a truly historic building that has to be letter perfect in design, I think we should offer flexibility to our architects, to our consultants, for developing a structure that uses the maximum amount of logs, because they're priceless, but we don't have any place to store them. So we might as well eat them up. And if we can add a lean-to or some sort of ancillary structure next door, or a porch or something like that, I really think it makes sense for us to do that. And these logs give us more flexibility. So I don't know if anybody else has any appetite for that, but I think it's.
Well, then aren't you changing the actual design of the original log cabin?
Yeah, but as I said, my opinion is it's not a historically significant, shape and size necessarily. We're trying to reconstruct. We're going to take liberties with the authenticity of the specific structure anyway. So we may as well use that to our advantage and make it a very cool, historically accurate structure that has maybe a place for people to sit. If we keep the building locked a lot, and we have a couple of lawn chairs, a couple of benches or something like that, folks can go and sit and enjoy the ambiance and kind of, feel like they're, part of history. And I'm not sure we have enough logs to do that otherwise. That was just my thought.
Well, possibly some of these logs could be used to create some old looking benches that they get some on.
Yeah. We don't know. We don't really have we can't quantify how many extra logs we're going to have, if any, once we replace the ones that are missing or damaged. But I would like to offer that flexibility to the consultant. That's really all I'm suggesting. Anybody think that's a good idea or a bad idea? Do we need to do anything to just?
Councilmember Rambo, as Robin mentioned, we've engaged Pattern Knives already relative to a lot of different issues that are occurring with the Village Green and now the donation of these additional logs. I think at this stage, they're aware of it. Once their contract's approved by City Council, which is scheduled to occur on June 12th, I would ask Pattern Knives to actually go visit with the gentleman offering the donation and then do that assessment like they did with the logs for Essen Log Cabin, so that we really do have a scorecard, so to speak, of what's available, what we need to finish Essen Log Cabin, our primary goal, and then what's available thereafter.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
Madam Chair, with your permission, just like to give you a couple updates on Village Green. One of the delays that has been hampering progress relative to the bidding process is the current trash enclosure that's located on the City Hall site. It's obviously a needed asset relative to the operation of this facility, but it is also a great blocker from the standpoint of access to the log cabin and visibility from the log cabin from the parking lot area and vice versa. The consultant team has been going back and forth with potential locations, and ultimately the Planning and Parks Committee, which Councilmember Rambo is a participant on, made a decision that we're going to relocate the trash enclosure over to the east side of the parking lot where the Mayor's Grove of Trees is located, and we're going to relocate the Mayor's Groves of Trees over by the log cabin. All of that, what that ultimately does is open up that area and basically places the log cabin as one of the first things you see as you drive into the parking area here. That all is in kind of the works right now. Hopefully we'll have a set of plans. I made a commitment to Mr. Scott that once we get a little further along, I'm going to give the set of plans to him and kind of let him take a look at the historic aspects of it and any additional thoughts he might have about placements, landscaping, et cetera. So we're a little behind on the plan process, but I think we got over the hump with that decision. That decision or recommendation of the committee will go to City Council on June 12th. And after that, I think we'll be ready to go. Thank you.
Comment, please. The Mayor's Grove, the trees are in bad shape. Several of them just didn't take. And the two that are in the best shape are completely out of the way of this relocated trash structure. So we won't be losing anything because we'd have to replace the trees anyway. And it gives us the opportunity to plant them in a new location more carefully and leave space for expansion as we have future mayors and so forth. So it really does, it works out well. And it's not like we're digging up some healthy trees and trying to move. So I just want to make that clear.
Any other questions?
Anyone else? Hey, the champions of history.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. Madam Chair and members of the commission, the department has prepared for your consideration tonight the memorandum relating to 3 components of our memorial tribute program. First, the City Council took final action on the nomination of Paul Wojciechowski. That means now that we will proceed with the acknowledgements that have been identified on the first page of the memorandum. Those include a memorial brick at Old Pond School, a memorial tree in one of the 11 historic communities near with a small marker, proclamation by City Council, an article or a recognition in the Wildwood Gazette, and then finally, a permanent place on our city's website acknowledging Mr. Paul's role in historic preservation. Tonight, the second item relates to Ms. Som, Judy Som. The Historic Preservation Commission unanimously supported Ms. Som being nominated as a sustaining member under our Memorial Tribute Program. And so tonight, the department has identified that action and would like a final motion to proceed forward with the recommendation to City Council.
Jim? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alan. Any more discussion on it? Then we will go for a vote. All those in favor, raise your hands, please. Thank you. Anyone opposed? It has passed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the last item relates to a conversation that was held at the end of our discussion at the April meeting, and that was consideration of Larry Thompson as a potential recipient of the Memorial Tribute Program. The Department of Planning did research on Mr. Thompson and his role relative to the Historic Preservation Commission and other activities relating to the city of Wildwood. Mr. Thompson served a total of 4 years and 4 months on the Historic Preservation Commission, so a little over 1 term. During that tenure, he served as the vice chair of the commission for 1 year and secretary of the commission for 1 year. He also served on the elected Wildwood Charter Commission, the first one, which developed the charter that now has been in place for approximately 20 plus years. Also, he volunteered at Wildwood Days, the, let's say, parent of what we now call Celebrate Wildwood. And he also participated at Celebrate Wildwood events over the years. At that time, it was named Founders Day for a brief period of time. Finally, As we know, when we visit Old Pond School, one of the first things you notice as you walk into the building and the large room area is an old wood burning stove that's been restored. And that was a gift to the city of Wildwood by Mr. Thompson. In consideration of all those items, the department believes that Mr. Thompson could be nominated as a sustaining member under our Memorial Tribute Program. If there are any questions regarding the research regarding Mr. Thompson, or if there is any motion that would like to be.
I don't remember, did we tie a stove to him with new signage yet?
Not yet.
So maybe it's forward, whatever we do, we pull that stove in as well.
Certainly, we could do a little plaque or something akin to that.
Exactly.
If there are any questions, Robin and I'd be glad to try to answer them at this time.
Do we need any further action on that?
If the commission members believe that Mr. Thompson qualifies for a sustaining member, the department will respectfully request a motion, second, and vote.
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you.
If the commission concurs that Mr. Thompson is qualified as a sustaining member, it would request a motion, second, and vote on such. Department will prepare the final report for the June meeting of the commission. Then if the final report is approved by the commission, it would go to city council. So I need a motion if you'd like to proceed. Thank you.
Jim? Chris?
I'll make the second.
That moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Anyone opposed? It has passed.
Thank you all.
Miss Robin is back. Work program.
I
No,
believe you
I'm
might.
sorry, the survey of properties.
Madam Chair and members of the commission, I have received a proposal from Michael Allen of the Preservation Research Office. As we discussed at a past meeting, the department has recommended and this commission has authorized moving forward to survey 43 new properties, reaching that 75-year age threshold for historic building inventory through 2025. So this is actually covering future years as well and just bringing us all the way up to date through that time. So we don't have to think about this for the next few years. Mr. Allen is very enthusiastic to work with us on this effort. He has volunteered to attend commission meetings as necessary, including if this commission would like, he is also willing to come at the front of the work and introduce himself and discuss the process with you a bit so you understand what's upcoming. But generally what we're looking at for a schedule of this work is the next 3 months. So he wants to get started pretty shortly. It looks like work will commence on June 12th. So midway through June and continue through October 31st. He will be surveying each of these properties, taking pictures as he can from the public right of way. We'll be working with him in any instances where he cannot. And the department will help provide some mapping assistance as well. But at the end of the effort, he will generate a report for us to review so we understand what has been added to our inventory. The total work proposed or the total cost for this work will be $5,000, which is on par with past contracts or proposals of this nature. Yes.
It's like $115, $120 per site. We have any idea how long it takes to do a site?
I do not know how long it takes to do a specific survey. Like you're saying, go there, do the historical research, take the photo. I would have to circle back and ask Mr. Allen, and I'm sure he would be happy to answer that question too when he presented to this commission.
We boil it down to 30 minutes. It's not a lot of money.
I understand what you're saying.
Jim?
In that instance, the department would help facilitate that. Yes.
Chris?
Two questions. So, is he proposing that it would be, that the report would be delivered by the end of October, or is there a time frame that he would propose that the report would be delivered? And then the other question is this June 16th date at the top, was this something that we received last year?
Yes, I do believe he did submit a proposal in past years. So I assume he used a similar template. But my interpretation of this is that the work would commence, which includes the report, on October 31st. Or commence, it would complete. I heard myself there.
Anyone else?
Do we need action on this?
Yes, please, if you would, make a motion and second and vote.
Tracy? We have a motion and a second. Is that correct? Any other discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Anyone opposed? It has passed. And so now we're ready for the work program update.
All right, Madam Chair, members of this commission, I have been flipping through this work program and I do not see any updates that we haven't already discussed this evening or that we will discuss. Unless Director Vunich has any, nope. Then we are certainly available for questions at this time on any of these items that are in our work plan. Thank you.
Any questions or comments for her? Okay, I think we're making very good progress. Thanks for all of your guidance from both you and Joe. No new business that needs action at this time. The proposed demolition site visit that took place this past week. We need to approve the minutes of that site visit.
That is
Do I-
correct.
Do I have a motion from someone who was there? Dan? A second? Rob? Any discussion on it before we vote? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Anyone opposed? Hey, we have it.
I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to ask, were they actually included? Were those minutes included in their pamphlet?
Yes, they're under the item on your agenda that discusses the demolition request. So whereas in the past,
The
they've been in
minutes-
the front.
Minutes are there?
Yes, it says site visit summary. This is typically how we've
Oh, okay.
cataloged every one of
Okay.
our demolition visits. Just to give a short presentation to those who weren't present, on May 18th, this commission or members of it did tour the property located at 1928 Wild Horse Creek Road. We toured 4 structures on the property, including 2 dwellings, one that was more historically significant than the other, but it was, there wasn't a very, very big significance there. And then 2 garage buildings as well. All of the structures were in poor condition. In fact, the main structure, the floor joists of the main residence were being held up by scaffolding, I believe is what he was telling us. And in both of the residents, there was a significant amount of items left in storage. I can show you a few pictures if you're interested. But really, at the end of the meeting, when commission members did vote to authorize the demolition, what they were primarily concerned with was protecting the grand trees that were located around the structures. And so the department made sure to include such language in the authorization letter that we shared with this commission. And in fact, our Frank Laughlin of the city went out there and made sure that certain trees were protected. And I received an email from him. So we've been doing what we can to make sure that does happen as these structures come down. You have the letter before you. I do have photographs if you're interested. I just took just a few of the highlights. Is any commission member interested in seeing the photographs? If not, I'm happy to forward them as a link or something at a later date so that we don't have to spend time in this meeting. All right, thank you. Well, we're happy to answer any questions at this time.
Sorry, I couldn't get there that morning. But I thank Alan for stepping in as vice chair. Our other matters for consideration are meeting dates for July and December. And then I have a question on another one.
Madam Chair, members of this commission, we did have a couple meeting dates left off our calendar this year. And part of this is because we are in this weird place being the fourth Thursday of the month, where sometimes things just do not line up correctly. First of all, in July, we have a no meetings week for that last week. So then we get bumped off the calendar. And then this year, whereas normally we have our meeting in the very first week of December, December 1st or December 2nd, that date did not exist, just the way everything lined up. So we went ahead and searched for some additional meeting dates, and those are before you on the agenda. We have identified Wednesday, July 19th and Thursday, December 7th as two additional meeting dates for this commission in 2023. They would take place at 6:30 in City Council chambers. So at this time, if you would please, I suppose as a commission, should they motion on this? Okay, yes, if you would please motion, second, and take a vote on this, we'd appreciate it.
Hey, do we have a motion for these dates?
So,
Heard somebody. Who was it?
pardon?
Who made the motion? I heard it come from Alan. Okay, and a second? Ashley? Any discussion on that? And of course, the December date takes our November and December months into the one date as usual because of the holidays.
Oh, I should say, if you don't mind me interjecting, that December date, I forgot there is another meeting on that date, so we may need to be creative. We're thinking at that time, the community room might be equipped to hold our meeting there. But just note that we may not be in council chambers that specific date.
Wherever we can find a place, we'll meet. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Anyone opposed? Now, I have a question. In the past, because of Celebrate Wildwood, we've often done away with that September meeting because it falls right in there. It's not in the same week this year. Are we still having our regular September meeting? Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, we are.
Madam Chair, I think it's kind of
Yes.
important to have that meeting right after Celebrate Wildwood. As you know, we'll be able to kind of debrief and give our impressions while they're still fresh in our minds. So hopefully,
Sorry, Joe, I'm not picking up on you.
sorry, ma'am.
Oh,
I think it's important to have that meeting so we can kind of debrief after Celebrate Wildwood. And it's within a reasonable time frame, so everything will be fresh in everyone's mind. Thank you.
thank you, Robin.
Not to mention, we'll have launched our book,
That's right.
so we'll get to debrief that as well.
It's a lot to talk about always.
Thank you.
So, does anyone else have anything this evening?
One last question.
Chris?
Last page in the pamphlet. Natural resource protection fence details. Is that anything for us or why was that included?
That was simply included as part of the authorization because again, we were looking to protect those grand trees
For-
around the
for the grand
structures.
trees. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Anyone else? Well, let's remember that the creation of Memorial Day had a purpose other than just cookouts and car races. But all reasons together can be achieved in what we do. Have a very meaningful Memorial Day weekend and a safe one. We'll see you back here next month. The meeting is adjourned. Oh, no, I need a motion for the meeting to be adjourned.
So move.
So moved by Alan. Is there a second? Dan seconds. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Anyone opposed? Chris is opposed. Well, I'm sorry, you're in the minority, Chris. The meeting is adjourned. Thanks for a great time together.